good as well. But have a listen.
Just listen, I'll sing it to you. I belong to Glasgow, dear old Glasgow town. But there's something the matter with Glasgow, for it's going round and round. I'm only a common old working lad, as anyone can see. But when I get a couple of drinks on a Saturday, Glasgow belongs to me.
They have been part of the United Kingdom since 1707, which was when the United Kingdom was formed between the countries of Scotland, England and Wales. And ever since then we've been part of that union, but as I say, this year in September, the people of Scotland have a vote to decide whether they want to be independent again, so it's going to be a huge year for that. Now, there's another big event this year as well, which is the 700-year anniversary of the Battle of Bannockburn. Certainly the one that's most heard of these days. But the movie Braveheart, fantastic movie if you've seen it. If you've not seen it, then I would suggest that you have it, take it out on DVD or it'll be on Netflix or something, I'm sure. But it's a really good movie, at least anyway. But, he was a great character from Scottish history. Factually, we don't know a huge amount about him, actually. It's, a lot of it is conjecture. We hear about him in stories written about other people. There's not actually a story written about William Wallace, but a great character nonetheless. But William Wallace, the character, he was eventually killed. He was eventually captured, and he was betrayed by one of the characters in Scotland. Now, the movie, as I say, we don't mind really too much that Bruce was the one that betrayed William Wallace and captured him, or was part of the process that captured him, sent him down to him. Not true. None of this was true. William Wallace was actually betrayed by a man called Menteith, Earl of Menteith. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about the Earl of Menteith later on. But he was captured and he was sent down for to you as my king. So he was never paid an oath of allegiance to the English king. But tried for treason he was and found guilty, and he was horribly killed. And again, the movie talks about this and it depicts it quite well, to be honest. He was dragged through the streets of London, Smithfield Market, where he was tortured and horribly mutilated before he was eventually killed. And after he was killed, his body was chopped up, his head was put on a spike on Westminster Bridge, and parts of his body were displayed all around Scotland. Historians have speculated that, in actual fact, we may not ever have heard of William Wallace had it not been for the manner of his death. So it was the manner of his death which created him as a martyr, somebody to sort of get behind for the Scots people at the time, but also why we still remember it in history today. But I'll tell you a little bit more of the story as we move forward. We are coming into the little city of Stirling now, and it is a city despite the fact that it's only got about 45,000 people here. Fairly small little place, but a lovely little town, lovely little city. It's a university. The city has got a Stirling University on the other side of town, so lots of students around the town centre. Castles in Scotland, Edinburgh Castle and Stirling Castle. So we're going to visit Stirling Castle, which is a little bit bigger actually than Edinburgh, and a little bit more history to it as well. Both old castle is very, very nice, very well kept. But in my opinion, I think Stirling Castle just that little bit more to it. So take you up to Stirling Castle here up at the top.
Stirling Castle. I'll get on another bus.
I'm going to take you to a little stop along here called Loch Lubnig, which is your first Highland loch of today. For those that have just joined us, a loch is a lake and a glen is a valley. So you'll hear me talking about lochs and glens, lakes and valleys quite a lot over the course of the next couple of days. And a mountain is a ben. Looking quite nice today. Looks like there's been an explosion in the sugar factory here.
Sorry? No, it's sort of in there. Yeah.
So that's the river Lenny down on your left hand side. It's not very fast flowing at all today. Very apparent the difference between the lowlands and the highlands in the west of Scotland, isn't it? Aye. Get into the spirit of it already there, Carol. Aye.
Ever since Ireland.
Aye.
First Irish accent.
This looks doable. That's right. Against Facebook. Agama. Oh, Facebook.
Can you speak Gaelic then?
A wee bit, just because my grandmother spoke it, so she would often teach me things. Yeah, there's 1% of the population speak a Gaelic language, so it's a very, very small kind of minority. They placed restrictions on the Highland way of life so that people could never rebel again, so they banned us speaking the Gaelic language. They banned kilts, believe it or not, banned bagpipes, all these kind of things. And basically restricting the Highland culture to prevent future rebellions, so that kind of killed the Gaelic language a wee bit. And I think that's why Scottish people wear kilts so proudly today, because they were outlawed for such a time. You don't really see many other countries wearing their national dress today. Yeah, I can build a snowman later, a snowball fight, that kind of thing. The village we're coming into actually always makes me giggle. It's called Strathire. Strathire has 200 people and 5 pubs. Somewhat excessive, isn't it? And they like a bit of a laugh in Strathire, so you say to them, guys, come on, 200 people, 5 pubs, really, is it necessary to have so many pubs? And they're like, oh, the tourists. Like, hold on, you're pulling my leg, aren't you? Look at that many tourists in Strathire.
To be fair, they do have a holiday park, but I don't think it warrants 5 pubs. Basically, I think the deal is we just don't need to ask any questions about what they do in their spare time. I think they've got that covered.
Where we stayed in Highland Valley had 6 pubs. And there used to be 16. But it's not that big a town.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Outdoor shooting line. Alright.
This is beautiful. Just hopefully the roads stay clear though. That's the important bit. Yeah, a wee bit. Just take it easy through here actually. It's our first Highland town, so quite a nice wee place. All the Highland towns are quite typical. They have the one main street through the middle, and then they have all the little side streets off for the wee residences and so on. Everything you can possibly need is on the main street of the village. So that's the River Lenny that we're running alongside just now. Grass, a bit more vegetation, something to eat. So actually they tend to be fairly close to the roads in conditions like this, and especially later on in the afternoon, that's the time they would typically come down off the hills in any case. So even ice peels, you never know, you see some red deer. And whilst normally they're camouflaged against the rather rusty brown coloured bracken and the heather at this time of year, right now obviously they'll be fairly apparent with the snowy hills, so maybe a little easier to spot. 2 million deer in the UK. 2 million deer, and yeah, I mean years and years ago, if you look way back, the natural predator of the deer was the wolf, and because of our hunting trips going back through the 16th, 17th, 18th century, we killed off a lot of the wolves. Leaves no natural predator, and sure enough you upset the balance, the number of red deer goes straight through the roof. So we actually have to keep a lid on that now. We're now seeing in parts of the UK the deer in the evenings coming into towns and villages and feeding on the the village green and things like that, whereas before they would stay nowhere near humans at all. Just they come in for the nice doing the head the deal it. See more and more of them. I love the red grouse. You never really see them. All you see is the heather vibrating in different places as they run around, because they're quite short. And they give this call, which sounds very much like 2 words spoken very quickly in English together. The words "go back." So it sounds like they're giving you a warning. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. That's all they just scream that at each other running around in the heather. It's quite amusing. That's one caveat on that. I'd like to see one in the wild, but not in the mating season, because they're really aggressive. They're known to chase people down the street. Very territorial. I've not started it yet, that was just my breakfast from this morning, sorry. It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. Horse of the woods. I think it sounds more like a pipe though. Out to your right hand side is Loch Earn. Yeah. That's Loch Earn. Loch Earn is a really, really beautiful loch. It's very popular for water sports. It's slightly different spelling, but good. Yeah, that's about the same level as my jokes as well. I like that. Right, so basically the McNabb clan were sitting around the fire one night, according to legend, and they were trying to work out how on earth they would exact revenge on the Niche clan, and so they had sat there, and one of the young lads had said, well listen, I heard a story from years ago about the Vikings. When the Vikings came to attack us, they would always use the water courses as their transport links, so they'd use the rivers and lochs, etc. When they came to a mountain, it was no problem for the Vikings. They hopped out of their boat, they turned their boat upside down onto their heads, and they'd carry it over the mountain until they reached the next body of water. Why don't we do that in order to attack the Niche clan? Why don't we go right out to the Cranogs? And I thought, oh yeah, let's do it. So that's what they did. They went out and attacked the Niche clan. It's fair to say they weren't expecting the attack. And like I say, they almost entirely wiped them out. It was a very dog-eat-dog world between the clans in those days. Coming through a landscape here that would have been familiar to the MacGregors, the MacNabs and the Niche clan. This is Glen Ogle, and you can see the old train line here on the left-hand side. It's been built into the hillside there, and when I look at that, I kind of wonder, how the earth did they manage it? Not trampling on crops, lighting fires irresponsibly, letting livestock out, you know, common sense stuff. You follow those rules, you can go anywhere you want. You can go mountain biking through the Forestry Commission land. You can also take boats, like kayaks, canoes, go out on the water courses. There are areas where the government and national park areas will prefer you to keep your activities too, especially if they've got like protected species of plants and Land Rovers there. Those are the best vehicles for getting around up here. Well, to be fair, these Mercedes buses do a lot of things Mercedes probably would have expected. There. Alright, I'll let you kick back for a wee while and just see what we can see as we get on this road here. I'll just pop on a wee bit of music for you, which I will do from time to time throughout the tour.
Σταματάει.
So it's pretty much the fork in the lower West Highlands. It's not a huge town though. So we are, the mist's rolled away a wee bit now, a bit better visibility. More what's in it? More cheerful. Oh, maybe brighter in colour in terms of towns that we've got my house. Yeah, it is. Find it up in Scandinavia as well, quite often. That wee place you were buying your pies and your bridies at this morning. More bread. Great bread. Oh, how clever they are. I'll play on words though with English. To me, but yeah, quite a lot of similarities for sure. Indroma, or tight drum in English, means house on the ridge. It's like, you know, it's got like a usual stuff, sort of service stations, shops, cafes and things. And then we'll just blast through there and on into Rannoch, where that wide expanse of mountains, the largest area in Britain, and without any civilization. Heights of all of the mountains. There's 281 of them. There used to be 282 minimums, but we lost them. views as well. I was like, what do you mean there's like 281? What happened to one of those mountains that's on the Isle of Skye? And what happened was, it had eroded over the years, and so when they remeasured it, it was actually under the threshold. Yeah, it was too short. So it's no longer a Monroe. They should just do what they did in Wales. Stack some stones up on top.
Oh, yeah. That was a movie, wasn't that?
Yeah.
The movie.
Oh, did they? Quite possibly, yeah. They did that in Wales anyway, one of their mountains, but they haven't done it on the Skye. Certainly there's 281 fingers, and needs a lot of puff. You get to the top of a mountain, you can't feel your fingers and you're out of breath, so bit of a challenge. Ah, good stuff. Like I say, we love our outdoors and we're always doing crazy things. What's that?
Yeah, the bees ends of that guy dancing.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool.
And then just snowboard or ski back down. Really nice. In the summertime, you can get on the funicular railway with your mountain bike and come down it on your mountain bike. So the mountain's in use all year round. And up here at Glencoe, to the end of the glen here, we have the Glencoe Ski Centre. It's the smallest of our ski centres, and it doesn't keep the snow for as long as the other mountains in Scotland. The Glencoe Ski Centre has perhaps one of the most antisocial chairlifts in the world. Single seat chairlift. Whose idea was it to have a single seat chairlift? Didn't even have anybody to talk to on the way up the hill. Yeah, you've got T-bars and Palmas as well, but the chairlift, there's not many single seat chairlifts that exist in the world. And this is a bit kind of rickety, this old one, but single seat chairlift. You've got to shout to your friends. Anyone seen any deer as yet? Yeah. So keep your eye out, because and then the largest one we have is just crazy, it's just outrageous. The white-tailed eagle. The white-tailed eagle, if you've never seen a white-tailed eagle before, it stands about 1 metre tall. And when it opens its wings, the largest that's been recorded would be, let's see now, just short of the length of the bus actually. That's wingtip to wingtip. It's like a small plane. They call it the flying barn door. These huge wide panels of wings, and a little head and a little tail popping out either end. White tail, very obvious white tail, very square shaped wings. But as we come up the coastline, we're sort of travelling northwest. As we come up to the coastline there, keep your eye out because you never know. You never know. They have been known to come a little inland to hunt. Right now we are at a viewpoint called the Black Mount, and this beautiful and rather mysterious looking loch that you're looking over at the moment is called Loch Tulla. Loch Tulla. Very well. So this is a little brick. Pesky driving gets in the way of wildlife spotting. I'll have to leave the wildlife spotting to you guys. So you can see it's pretty barren up here. And we're climbing up to about 1,100 feet above sea level at the moment. Not particularly high up, but high up enough. we go. The mountain in front of us, Buchalet of Mor, the Great Beacon, in other words, in English, is used as a marker post so the Highlanders could find their way home. They saw this mountain, and helped them identify where they were. The mountain was also the backdrop to the Harry Potter scenes. Skyfall, James Bond, down the glen on the left of it. It's where they filmed James Bond driving away up in the Aston Martin. And some of the scenes from Highlander as well, like I said earlier. So. Battles to follow. Now, in the years just after the Battle of Killiecrankie, William decided to get a handle on this situation. He knew that a lot of the support for the Stuart family were in the Highlands here of Scotland, and he knew that it was the Jacobite clans that had fought against them at Killiecrankie and won it. So he basically said to the Highland clans, listen, I'm willing to forgive you, and all will be forgotten, and you will not be hunted down. There will be no repercussions of this whatsoever if you sign the document that I'm going to send out. It's called the King's Pardon. Agree to my terms and you'll be forgiven. So in other words, they were going to have to pledge allegiance to him. So the Highland clans considered this. They thought, do we pledge allegiance to him and then disregard everything that we fought for at Killiecrankie, but guarantee our future? Or do we not do that and then potentially to spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulder? What should we do? After much consideration, many of the clan chieftains decided to put everything behind them and just go and sign this document. The King's Pardon would be kept in the southwest corner of Scotland, a wee place called Inverness. If you went to Inverness on your travels, did you? It's down in Argyll. Beautiful wee spot. That's home of Clan Campbell. Clan Campbell, who lived around that area, protected Inverness as best they could. It was the Duke of Argyll's home. Inverness Castle is where the pardon would be kept. Now, the King and the government had chosen the Campbells to look after their document because the Campbells were a government-supporting clan. The Campbells would support the government and in return the government would say, well done, thank you for your help, here, have some land, have some cattle. And so they were able to further their ambitions by siding with the government. Once again, this Highland tool of the government would come into play as they were used to keep the document, to sign the document. He set off. Now we don't know if he was misinformed or he misheard the instruction, we've no idea, but he went to the wrong place. He went about 20 miles north of here to a place called Inverloch, which today is actually modern-day Fort William. He gets to Inverloch and he says to the boy there, he says, "Hi, I'm here to sign the document." And the guy's like, "Very good, you're in the wrong place." "What now?" "You're in the wrong place, you're meant to be in Inverness, not in Inverloch." "Oh no, see that GPS system, I tell you." Back on the minibus, lads. I'm sure he would have wished he had a minibus. He might have got there on time. Yeah, Bill says, "You better hurry, you're going to miss the deadline." "Oh no, you got about 3 days left." "No, it's going to take us 5 days to get there, we're going to be late." Anyway, they get down to Inverness. Yep, they missed the deadline, they were late. Now the Campbells were an old enemy of the MacDonalds, so now the MacDonalds are having to plead with an old enemy of theirs to let them sign the document. "Oh, sorry we're late, we went to the wrong place, can we still sign the document?" And the Campbell said, "Aye, okay, there you go, sign it and date it." So signed it and dated it just as everyone else had done, even if it's your worst enemy. So they let them in. And they stayed with them for 11 days. Now that's what we call in the Highlands milking it. not just food and shelter for that night, but 11 days. On the 11th day, their commander-in-chief, Drummond, he turns up, and now he has the instruction from the king. He pulls the Campbells aside, and out of earshot from the MacDonalds, he says, listen, tomorrow morning, we have been instructed that we must get out of our beds at 5 a.m. and we have to kill every single MacDonald under the age of 70. That's 70. Now, the life expectation in those days, 35 or 40. This was to incorporate everybody. So this was a terrible event, and some of the Campbells were very shocked by this. To be fair to the Campbells, they were some hospitality, I will not betray the hospitality rule, etc., etc. These Campbells were then very quickly reminded of their responsibilities and the consequences should they not follow out the King's rules, the King's instructions. So these Campbells still tried to boycott the situation, and they wrote coded messages to the MacDonalds and slipped them to them at the table. The MacDonalds that understood these messages, these coded messages, thought, alright, something bad's going to happen here tomorrow. To keep it quiet, because this could cause a big fuss if we start, going crazy about it. So what they tried to do was to secretly sneak out the women and children. So they sent the women and children out. Where did they send them? Into these hills in February 1692. Got a few palm trees and New Zealand cabbage trees along the way here. Strange as it is to say. Not something you expect to see in Scotland, but like I say, it's just the nutrients in the soil they seem to like.
Fort William. Obviously Scotland. Waiting only for the bus to take us to Inverness.
Just to unlock it and bring out the flavours. So you don't really need to chill things up. If you do want to, like you say, you just stick it in the cellar or put it out the back door for a couple of minutes and you're good.
Commander Memorial.
Whichever you prefer. If you find it easy to remember Slan Java, then go with that.
It's nice, it's not bad, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, the Irish version, yeah. Family came first. The government looked upon it and said, well, you bring jobs to these people and they just don't even want to do them. You can't help them. That wasn't quite the attitude of the folks here. Obviously, London was far removed from what was actually happening and what people felt up here in the Highlands. But nevertheless, Thomas Telford did finish the Caledonian Canal, but he had to employ Irish workers when the Scots abandoned him. So it was behind schedule, over budget, but the Caledonian